guest, Doreen Lenz Holte, is an author of Voice on Earth, Hope, Help, and a Wake-Up Call for the Parents of Children Who Stutter. The book she wishes she could have read when their family was starting out on this journey with their 3-year-old son in 1999. Since the book was published in 2011, especially after she established her Facebook group in 2014, she has become an international advocate for parents and speech therapists looking for safer ways to treat children.
Her focus is on keeping them talking and engaged in the world around them rather than fixing their speech. Dory shares her experiences and research with groups of speech language therapists and students of communication disorders, both in person and via Skype.
So let's begin with the first question. We had an opportunity to immerse ourselves in the contents of your book, and we admit that for us, future speech therapists, it wasn't an easy read. Your publication made us reflect on our craft and realize that as therapists, we should live by the Hippocrates rule that states, first, do no harm. Would you agree that this book should be a must read for all the students who are yet to become speech therapists, as well as for the speech therapists themselves?
Absolutely. I've been very honored that it has been included in curriculums, including yours, by professors, and I've been doing Skype Q&A with universities, mostly in the United States, but in other places. And I'm just so grateful for that, because I always felt in my mind that this was a grassroots effort, that I wanted to connect with parents, and I wanted to connect with students of speech therapy, because, you know, it's a little more of a challenge to kind of shift the mindset of people who are very invested in a certain way of doing things. And they didn't mean to be doing harm. It was just something I think there just wasn't enough reflection on what was happening and what the consequences were, and you know, the bigger picture. So yes, I'm honored that for the professors who have included it, and you know, we'll be thrilled to hear that there are more. I probably could not have imagined that when I wrote the book, but you know, that was my highest hope.
I think it was a problem probably on the West, and many clinicists sticked to the very rigid forms of proceeding, and including the greater, broader picture, the background is particularly important in achieving the success in the therapy.
Yes, I think, you know, those therapists have, you know, when they're being told that this is where the evidence is, you know, that was the question that really kind of came to my mind that I wanted to explore is, you know, where did this evidence come from? And yeah, I've learned a lot about kind of the uncertainty of evidence-based research, you know, and it's always evolving. And yeah, and that's one thing I'm trying to help parents and speech therapy students understand, that just because there's evidence doesn't mean it's good evidence. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean it's thorough enough to be used, you know, on children, and yet it is being used. And you know, I don't blame speech therapists. They're told that this is what they're taught in many, not so much anymore, hopefully, but you know, this is what they're taught ethically. They have to use evidence-based practices. And, you know, I think just as parents, they assume that harm won't be done because there is evidence. And you know, I really wanted to get to the bottom of that in the book. And I'm working on my next book project and continuing that conversation.
Well, we couldn't agree more, and reading your book for us was definitely an eye-opening experience. and an incredible lesson.
Thank you. I thank you so much for taking the time to read it and to consider this perspective. It's my understanding it's the only book still written from a parent's perspective on this topic. And I'm so grateful that it was translated into Polish to be shared in your country. And yes, thank you. Just thank you so much for taking the time to get that perspective. I'm very grateful.
What made you write Voice Unearthed?
You know, by the time our son was 9, we were pretty frustrated and scared, and we were just at a loss as to where to go, because everywhere we turned, the answers just weren't making sense to us. I'm a writer by trade, and I use writing to learn and to explore and to get a handle on understanding what I don't understand. You know, it's a tool for me. So it was kind of a natural step to take to start researching and writing my own experience, and then trying to understand the context of this therapy. Where did it come from? You know, why was it considered a good idea when the results seemed so, you know, so discouraging? So I think, you know, the writing is just, and I also had this feeling in my heart that I wasn't the only one, that there were others who were having this experience. And if I could do something to help them articulate, but, you know, I just knew in my heart that there were others who were experiencing this. And I felt like we deserved a voice. We deserved to be heard, just as our kids deserve a voice. So that just sort of drove me to keep working on it.
Thank you. Many parents go through the same emotions, but I think your attitude and most of all your determination can be inspiring to many of them right now.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. I hope so. I know, you know, I remember one therapist saying, "You're just going to confuse parents." And I said, yes, I am, because the whole, you know, it is confusing, and there's so much uncertainty. We don't have the best answers, you know, so I'm okay with confusion. You know, it's a good place to start in order to affect change, I think.
And what do you think parents can at home do to help their children, and how can they build a child's resilience and emotional strength? How can they prevent the act of talking from becoming a negative experience for a child?
I think, you know, I don't think they can necessarily prevent the talking from becoming a negative experience at times. I think that parents, you know, we need, just having children means our kids are going to have negative experiences, and we're going to have to live through that. And it's not easy, whether it's stuttering or whatever the issue is. So I think, as with any child, you know, we want to offset those negative experiences with positive experiences. And I don't mean positive meaning no stuttering. I mean positive meaning successful communication, joyful communication, accomplishment, engagement, you know, a sense of mastery, helping these kids become really well versed at something they're really passionate about, to build that confidence in them. You know, I remember our son, I believe this was the last kind of more traditional speech therapist, and we were walking through the parking lot. He was about 9, and he said, and I think I talk about this in the book, he said, why does my speech have to be the focus of everything? And that just seared my brain. And I thought, what am I doing? You know, why does it need to be the focus of everything? This poor kid, you know, he's got so many interests and friends and he's having a blast, and we keep dragging him away from that to try and get him to not stutter. So it was, you know, once we found the therapist with the ranch, when he said, you know, we need to get him talking again because his previous therapy sucked all the fun right out of it. It was like, yes, that makes sense to me. It did. We need to make it fun again. So I think just really helping parents to kind of look at the step back and look at the big picture of what they want for their children. It's really no different. You know, I've got 3 kids, and you know, I want the same thing for all of them. And you know, it's a child who stutters is, you know, going to be more vulnerable to probably some anxiety and some teasing and bullying and that sort of thing. And you know, I think what's the best way to minimize that? What's the best when that child is, you know, you want them to be able to share their feelings about these anxieties so that they're not developing, you know, negative messaging that just isn't accurate, you know, like, oh, that person thinks I'm stupid. And I'm sure you've heard all of this before, but you know, kids do think that. Everybody thinks I'm stupid. Everybody, you know, they'll like me better if I don't stutter. You know, so if you can keep that communication open, let those kids talk about their feelings no matter what it's about. If they know that you as a parent can handle it and are there for them to listen, they're going to share their feelings about their stuttering, about their speech with you. And hopefully they'll, in doing so, come up with solutions on their own as to how to get through it, you know. But on the other hand, don't not talk about it. And that's that fine line that we all have to walk. And we don't always get it right. You know, there are times when I try to talk to my son and I went about it wrong, even to this day, and he's almost 25 years old. And you know, there are still times when I bring something up and, you know, I'm like, oh, I should have said that or whatever. So it's not easy being a parent, but I think that's where speech therapists can be a tremendous help, is helping parents to have those conversations, helping them to figure out how they're going to respond when their child is upset about their speech or is being bullied or being, you know, helping parents to work through all of that and to be prepared, you know, in a way that builds that resilience. I tell parents in my Facebook group, you know, it's hard when they get teased, but you will survive and they will survive too, you know, and you'll get beyond it. And it's hard, but it's not the end of the world. You know, there's lots of other things to worry about.
Well, thank you for bringing this up. And as you mentioned, it's very important to see your child as a whole and not only focus on their speech or their fluency. And we also think that it's very important to focus on an open communication and to work on being an active and a good listener.
Make sure they know that you love them. You really, truly love them, and it isn't contingent on whether or not they stutter. And that may sound like, well, of course my child knows I love them. You know, if you're making their whole life about whether or not they stutter, and if you're, you know, really traumatized when they do, or you're really worried, or, you know, they can start getting this feeling that you don't love them as much because they stutter. And you don't want them to ever think that, you know. So I think that's something to think about as a parent.
What measures need to be undertaken when a child goes into their shell and doesn't feel like talking?
You know, we all have those days. And I think we need to give the kids their space that they need. It's not the end of the world. You know, I remember when Eli was first home from college, he was going through it, you know, he was frustrated, and I wanted him to make a phone call, and he didn't want to make it, which is kind of not like him. But he went in, I don't know if I should be sharing this, but he went in the bedroom, just covered his head. And I thought, so I went in and said, Eli, what's wrong? He said, I just don't want to make that call right now. And it's like, okay, don't do it. It's fine, you know. I just think we need to be okay with giving them the space that they need. But again, if you're nurturing a lot of passion and interest for them, they're not going to stay in that state for a long, long time if they have other things to distract them. You know, they can go through that period of wanting to be quiet and wanting to be left alone and just shutting down. But hopefully you can, as a parent, keep enough going on in their world to counter that and to bring them back out again, you know, naturally, sort of.
If you could turn back time and already having your current knowledge and your current experience, how would you react if your child was starting to stutter?
You know, I wish I could say I would have no anxiety. I would know it's all going to be fine. Blah, blah. I couldn't say that. You know, I could be a grandmother any day now. I may be a grandmother one of these days. And, you know, how would I feel if my grandchild was stuttering? And that would be hard. I have to admit, but I understand now how a parent's anxiety and fear and worry impacts that child so much. And I wish I had understood that better when Eli was younger. I really didn't get that at all. And, you know, it really makes a difference. So, you know, I would try not to be as focused again on the stuttering, but to also figure out more ways to not have it be the elephant in the room, to talk about it. And, you know, I think I would do a lot, especially with a younger child. I would do a lot of singing and nursery rhymes and, you know, maybe play acting and that sort of thing, just to kind of keep those positive communication experiences happening. So for the younger kids especially, but yeah, I guess I would do a lot of what I've been talking about so far, and just be more aware of how my anxiety will impact the child.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this topic. What you said will certainly be helpful to many parents who are watching us right now. And of course, we understand your struggles and their struggles and how important it is to talk about it.
Thank you. And it's not easy, you know, it's not easy. And that's where I say, as speech therapists, if they're trained and sensitive to that, they can really help a family nurture joyful communication. They can really have a role. And I don't know what it's like in Poland. I know I talk about this in the United States. It's harder because insurance requires they're working with the child. So there really isn't a lot of opportunity for parents to be involved in the therapy process. And my feeling is that without that involvement, you know, it's not much is going to happen if you're not able to incorporate the family into the process. And I don't mean like they incorporated us teaching him speech tools. I mean, you know, ways to keep him talking and that sort of thing. But in this country, it's the insurance companies and the school districts, and, you know, they kind of, the current systems don't support that. So the speech therapists who are making that happen are, are being creative or, just figuring out ways. But that's one thing that really needs to change a lot. I hope that something can happen to make that change easier for therapists to engage the families. And I understand sometimes there are families who don't want to engage, and that's really unfortunate. And then then you have to look at what opportunity do I have as a speech therapist to be this child's best listener and to be that adult in this child's life who cares about them. There's still a tremendous opportunity for a speech therapist, but gosh, it's so much better if you can get the family and the parents involved and educate them to help them to understand the risks of focusing on fluency. I used to say parents can be educated. Yes, we come in and say, please fix our child. Please make him not stutter. I don't want him to stutter. It really upsets me when he stutters. Parents can be educated. It doesn't take that much to explain the risks. And, so many adults will say, stuttering is what I do when I'm trying to not stutter. And so why do we try to teach our kids to not stutter? The irony is that the less we focus on that, the less they're probably going to stutter, so let's get it right from the beginning.
What should be the goal of therapy? What advice would you give the speech therapists wanting to support the families of children who stutter? How to choose the right speech therapist? What to avoid? What to take under consideration?
Well, I would certainly tell any parent if the speech therapist says we're going to try and make your child fluent, I would run the other way. Although most parents would think, okay, let's do it, but the goals of therapy, I think, we want children who are engaged, and what does that look like? What exactly does an engaged child look like? They're raising their hand in the classroom. They're talking to friends on the playground. They're continuing even when they're talked over. There are ways that a child's engaged. So I think if people think about what does that look like, and then establish goals and measures around those very concrete things, you can sort of start to build on something besides fluency. So I think the goals can be, the goals can also be for parents.
Thank you very much for these words. We, as young speech therapists in college, are taught to collaborate with parents. We are encouraged to create a therapeutic team, consideration of parents, speech therapists, and child. We believe that this is the best way to provide comprehensive help to the child. However, in order to that, speech therapists need to support and educate parents at the same time. Who, if not them, knows the best what their child needs at the moment?
And I always kind of laugh when somebody says that, because I didn't always know best. I always felt like, really, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing? I really don't. But we know our child best. We're around them the most. But we sure don't. We're sure not the experts on them by any stretch. None of us are. We just kind of, work our way through it all. But yes, I think parents need to be listened to and heard in this process. And I'm just so grateful for you all taking this seriously. And, it just gives me so much hope to see young students of speech therapy embracing these ideas, and moving forward this way, because yeah, it's a dream come true for me.
We are also really happy that we have this opportunity and that we can expand uh, our interests and work not only with children but also with their whole environment.
Yes, it's the whole picture we need to keep in mind, not just their speech.
Well, that was all of our questions. Once again, thank you very much for the interview, for your time, and for sharing with us your enormous knowledge supported by experience.
Thank you so, so much for having me, and I wish you all the luck. I can't wait to see the finished product. You're doing some great work.
Yes, it was definitely a huge honor and a valuable lessons, not only for us, but also for our listeners.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here.